How do you do? Jen and Cam feel it would be unkind to present this program without a friendly word of warning. We are about to unfold our true crime podcast, a podcast of lifelong friends who seek to examine crimes which were committed without reckoning upon God. The discussion will be frank, and the subject matter will be of a grim and violent nature. I think it will thrill you. It might even horrify you. So, if there are young children listening, or if you feel unwilling to subject your nerves to such a strain, now is your chance to, well, we've warned you.
Well, hello, Jen.
Well, hello there, Cam. How are you on this fine afternoon?
I'm pretty okay.
Ooh,
you know,
I'm great to hear that.
Things could be worse. I kid, because every time I say that, something happens. I'm not going to say that, so yeah. Anywho, how are you?
I am
What's going on?
Great. Not too much, to be quite honest.
Banter to a minimum.
I know. We start band camp next week. Tomorrow, actually, I should say. My daughter does. She's excited. At least until tomorrow.
Band camp?
Until she finds out, that it's 98 degrees and she's out there all day. But it's
actually tomorrow it's going to be really chilly.
Oh, good.
Seriously, it's like 78. I was like, what?
Even better. Yeah, she's excited.
Best.
Getting back to normal. We love it.
Ish.
Anyway.
You can't say it because every time I say it could be worse. It happens to get worse.
Anyway, what do you have going on for us this week?
I have a story for you. A little crime. A little something. This is actually the second time we have visited this place. I did an episode on Ronald Dominique, who was the gay serial killer in Houma, Louisiana. I was going to say Alabama, sorry. And today we're going back there. Different case, same place.
Gotcha. Let's go.
You ready?
Let's hear it.
Okay. So we are going back to Houma, Louisiana, and it is Christmas morning 2009, just after 3 a.m., when a call comes in to police. The person on the phone was a man by the name of Randall Chestnut, who was the owner of a local gay bar called the Drama Club. He tells officers that his friend and manager of the Drama Club, Robert LeCompte, called him to let him know, hey, I'm leaving. I'll be home shortly. The two were friends, but they had been friends for a long time. And this was kind of standard for him to call and say, the night went well, we made pretty good money, etc., and now I'm coming home, just to kind of let him know.
Yeah.
The men had been friends for a long time, and they had been living at the same place, but not together. I believe Randall had sort of like a little trailer or little condo apartment thing in the back of his house, and that is where Robert lived. When Robert didn't show up, and Randall knew he should have been home, Randall tried to get a hold of Robert, and there was no answer at the club. So, for some reason, Randall had a weird feeling that something was off. So he called police. Randall asked police to go and check the bar and see if Robert had locked it up, or perhaps Robert was still inside, just got distracted cleaning up, or maybe somebody swung by to see him. When officers arrived, they noted that Robert's car was still outside the bar. So at this point, they're hoping that Robert's inside and everything's fine. They continue, and they find that the front door of the bar was unlocked. Now, this would be unusual because Robert would be by himself in there. You're counting money.
You lock
it's just
the
sort
door.
Of you lock the door. The minute officers open the door, they see a horrible sight. Blood was everywhere. It was obvious there had been a struggle. They soon see a man on the floor covered in blood. The man was Robert LeCompte. And placed partially underneath his body, sort of his torso area, was a handwritten note. On the note, it scrawled the words, "You gave me AIDS."
Ooh.
That's all they have at this point. Houma, Louisiana is a small town with a population of around 33,000, but it is actually the largest town in the Terrebonne Parish. Many of their citizens still actually speak French on the regular, meaning that's sort of the language they use in their houses. Most of the people there work or have been working from, or their parents had worked from, the oil industry, which is very big there. The area is still very Cajun, and the drama club, like many gay bars in small town America, was a safe place for people to hang out, let loose, and have fun. Now, just as a little side note here, because I'm a nerd, I was like, that seems like what's happened in that city besides Ronald Dominique Killer. So just a little side note, because I'm dumb. The Suicide Squad is based in Houma. The 1999 films Crazy in Alabama and A Lesson Before Dying were filmed partially in Houma. The movie The Skeleton Key, do you remember that?
I
really
do.
like that movie. I really like that movie. As well as The Butler, starring Forrest Whitaker and Oprah Winfrey, were filmed in downtown Houma. Now, if you watched or knew about the Gypsy Rose Blanchard case with Dee Dee Blanchard, if you remember that, they originally had come from Houma before moving to Missouri. Just little notes for you, little something for you.
Well, nice. Thank you.
You're welcome. On this particular night, Robert LeCompte was throwing a big Christmas party. So it's Christmas Eve for the patrons, but that was not all, Jen. It was also a birthday party for Robert, too. All of Robert's closest friends came to celebrate him, as well as the holiday. The party wrapped up around 2 a.m., which was when Robert phoned Randall to tell him he would be coming home. But instead, a killer ended Robert's life on the very day he was born, just 39 years earlier. Now, when the crime occurred back in 2009, the drama club murder was covered only by a few local papers and a few gay and lesbian blogs. Now, I would think today being, well, at first you hear of this and you think possibly it's a hate crime, possibly if it's a scorned lover. You don't really know. But I do think that in today's climate, this would have been a much bigger story than it was in 2009.
Yeah, I was going to say this doesn't even ring a bell with me at all.
Robert was a smaller guy. He was only 5'2", but he was big in personality. He had a rough upbringing, and sadly, as we all know, that kind of makes us who we are in life. He was born in Houma in 1970, and both of his parents were Cajun, as in full-blooded Cajun. When Robert was young, his father left the family, and he was left to live with his mother, who demanded all his paychecks to help with finances. Let me say here, when Robert, it was pretty known to everybody that he was gay. Even when he had not come out yet, he was gay. His mother at first really did not agree with this. She didn't like it. And in fact, I read this thing where she actually would beat him up, slap him around a little bit. Well, I guess as he got older, things kind of changed, and they ended up becoming pretty close. And I think she kind of saw the wrongness in her ways. Robert left home in his early 20s, and this is when he would meet his lifelong good friend, Randall. Robert was fun and a good friend to all that knew him. He seemed to really let things slide off of him. He was very carefree. This was the exact demeanor he had when in 1995, Robert learned he was HIV positive. He took it in stride. As Randall and Robert grew close, Randall asked Robert to move into a trailer he had on the property. In 2004, Robert started working at the drama club. First, it was just sort of like, I don't want to say a janitor or a custodian, but it was somebody that would kind of just run errands and keep the place clean, clean up the bar.
Kind of like a bar back.
Kind of. Yeah, there you go. I didn't know what that was called. But he ended up working his way all the way up to managing the bar, and he did great. He really excelled at this. And, that would be kind of fun, I think. I'm just saying. The bar offered him a chance to have a job he loved and to be with people who loved him just for being himself. He loved it, and it showed. He was always happy. Everybody really liked Robert. He was just kind of a good guy. Happy all the time. At this point, police are thinking that this had to be a hate crime or maybe a robbery gone wrong. But that note seemed to suggest this was not about the money at all. Police are able to ascertain that at 1:30 a.m., only 8 people, including Robert, were in the bar. Police tracked down these people, and they learned that shortly around 1:30 a.m., a group of 6 of them had left to go get food at a nearby Waffle House. And this just left one customer behind, and that customer was Jarrell Young. The witnesses tell officers that the man was a young black man with a slight build, and he, in fact, he used to work at the drama club, but he had since quit.
Okay.
So with that name, police go to Randall and they ask him about this former employee. And so this seemed like it fits. Does it seem familiar? So Randall tells investigators that yes, that person would be a 23-year-old named Jarrell Young. Jarrell grew up in a rough situation too. No, he had it even worse. He had a brother and 2 sisters with a dad that left early on in life. Jarrell had impaired eyesight due to a fight he and his brother Dante had gotten into when they were younger. It seems like they were fighting, wrestling around, just as sometimes brothers do. Mm-hmm. And his brother, who was older and bigger, took a screwdriver and stabbed Jarrell near the eye. I know.
Holy cow.
Causing permanent damage. One of the things that I read said he had a lazy eye, but I wouldn't really call this a lazy eye. It was permanently damaged. I think he was blind in it. It was a different color, too. A lazy eye to me is like the muscle, right?
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
It's a weak muscle that causes your eye to turn in.
I wouldn't classify this as a lazy eye. I could be wrong, though. Any medical people out there. But yeah.
Maybe it had the same effect as a lazy eye, but I would think that it wouldn't be. Oh, poor kid. Holy. Okay. Sorry.
It's okay.
Nothing like brotherly love.
Right? It's rough. Jarrell actually started to hang out at the drama club to watch. You ready for this? His brother, that same brother that stabbed him in the eye many years ago, because Dante was gay, out and proud, and in fact, he had been a gay stripper, but now was doing drag shows. So Jarrell would come and watch Dante perform at the drama club during some drag shows that Dante would be performing. Unlike Dante, who was gay and proud and out, Jarrell at this time had girlfriends, and he had lots of girlfriends. He was pretty popular with the ladies, I would say. In fact, he had at least one baby at this point, but there were rumors floating around, as there always are. There's many more of those babies. Patrons from the drama club would tell investigators that they thought that Robert, the man who had been killed, and Jarrell, who was the seemingly straight guy, would occasionally hook up from time to time. They also said that Jarrell had hooked up with Randall, the drama club owner, in the past. You with me? So Jarrell would say that, again, stating he was very adamant he was not gay, but that if he wanted some good work shifts at the drama club, that Randall would do a little, hey, if you want this, I want this. What are you going to do?
Scratch my back, I'll scratch yours type situation.
Exactly, which we all know is illegal.
Just a bit.
Jarrell would never say he was gay, but he was just happy to have a job he liked. Randall would say the two would occasionally have sex because Jarrell liked the money. Jarrell would say that wasn't all quite true. I didn't know how to phrase that because Jarrell said that he would do favors for Randall, but they never actually had sex. Randall said that was not true, that they full on had sex.
Okay.
I tried to say that a little PG.
I get you.
Because it wasn't, you know what I'm saying. Basically, what I'm thinking about Jarrell at this point, he's young, he's a hustler, trying to make some money best way he can.
Yeah.
There
no
you go.
Shame in it. I mean, do you. Whatever.
So all of these wild ways Jarrell had going on at this time would change because in 2008, Jarrell meets a woman by the name of Darkus Baker. That's right, Darkus Baker. I kind of like that name, I got to tell you. Darkus Baker and Jarrell fell in love, and they moved in together within less than 6 months after dating. Darkus would actually have Jarrell's second child, but as we know, Jen, paradise does not last long. Jarrell was arrested for domestic abuse and illegal possession of weapons, but Darkus didn't want to press charges, so they went away. But you know, she probably should have, because just 5 months later, Jarrell's arrested again for domestic abuse, but this time he held a knife to his wife's throat. And only way I know how to describe it is strange, and just a blurb of a warning here, animal abuse. He super glued her daughter's lizards together and then stabbed them. Once again, charges were dropped. The couple would end up staying together. Girl, you got run.
Sometimes you just can't tell him. There's
you got to know when to hold them.
situations. Yep, there's situations where some people just can't.
The medical examiner determined that Robert was killed between 2 a.m. and 3:30 a.m. It was also determined that many of the stab wounds to his body were of an unusual shape. In fact, they were star-shaped, as in a Phillips screwdriver, star-shaped. Now, a quick search of the club showed that money was missing from the club, but there were no signs of forced entry. At this point in time, there were no video cameras, and so there wasn't much evidence to go on. There wasn't much at all. Little did they know at this point it would take months to actually unravel what happened. Prior to Robert's death, Robert began seeing a man by the name of Michael, and from all that knew Robert, it seemed like the real deal. Robert was always so happy, easygoing, but he wasn't one really to be serious with anybody, so this was kind of a thing that most of his friends, they zoomed in on it. They were happy. As we know, Jen, often the killer is the one that is closest to us. And with such a grisly crime scene, the police were pretty sure that it was not a stranger who killed Robert, but had to be somebody close to him.
It would have to be somebody that came into the bar that he knew at 1:30.
Or never left the bar. Yeah. Correct. Investigators take a look into Michael, but as it turns out, Michael has a really solid alibi and was ruled out. He also was pretty devastated about Robert's murder. You're just starting to date somebody and this happens? I can't imagine. Time to go back to Jarrell Young. Officers obtained some video footage of Jarrell at a gas station the morning of the murder, and the timestamp proved that, there was some missing minutes, unaccounted for, about 40 to be exact. Now, Jarrell had stated to the police that he simply went to the bathroom at the drama club before leaving, so he was just a few minutes behind the gang that went to the Waffle House. So now they want to know, why are you getting gas, which should be on your way home, but yet it's 40 minutes behind? It's a 40-minute delay. See what I'm saying?
Right.
Jarrell would say he was just really drunk and kept hitting signs on the way to the gas station.
Wow.
Well, that's not quite true, but we'll get into that. With nothing but suspicion, and they're really getting a lot of suspicion at this point, police can't hold him, and they let him go. So they are working together, and this is how they piece together the day, or what they believe happened on this day. Jarrell had claimed that on the morning that Robert was killed, he borrowed Darkus's car to go Christmas shopping for her and the baby. He was gone most of the day and had been in touch with Darkus on and off via phone calls and text. But he turned off his phone because Darkus was annoying him and said to, quote, "Stop being a bitch," and he turned off his phone. So his phone, pinging from where it was turned off permanently after he said that to Darkus. That night, he would end up at the drama club. Here's where that old scorned woman thing comes into play. It seems like Jarrell had started sleeping with some other women, and he told Darkus he was done and he was leaving her. Ring, ring, ring. Darkus calls the sheriff's department the very next day. She asked to speak to the officer in charge, announcing, quote, "It's about that little gay boy who was killed at the drama club." Darkus was raging, and she said she had evidence that would prove Jarrell Young killed Robert. And with that, Jarrell Young was arrested and charged the very next day with the murder of Robert LeCompte.
Wow. Hell hath no fury.
That's what I'm saying. On November 26, 2012, the trial began. The prosecution, as I had mentioned, didn't have too much evidence at all, and very little physical evidence. But they were going with the two facts that, first of all, Jarrell's car was in the parking lot after the other men had left for the Waffle House. He did state, that he stayed there to go to the restroom. They also are really hitting home about that it was almost an hour, it was 40 minutes that had passed between him saying he left the drama club and his arrival at the gas station. Now, they said that should have been a 20-minute drive, and so you calculate all that in, there's missing minutes. Okay? The video footage of Jarrell that the police had been able to get from the gas station, and it's kind of scary. He goes in to pay with small bills, mind you, because Just stating the facts, small bills. You use that because remember there was money gone from the register. But he goes in to pay the man for the gas. And you can see in the video, a guy comes up to him to like say hi. And immediately Jarrell looks down at his clothes. And police are guessing that he was like, oh no, do I have anything on me? Because you can kind of see that he immediately looks down to see if he has anything on the front of him.
Gotcha.
As in blood.
Like checking for blood.
Yes. The only physical evidence that they had was a drama club t-shirt that was covered in blood. The shirt always hung at the back of the bar because they had t-shirts for sale. Now, the blood on the shirt proved to be Robert's, so that shirt was seemingly caught up in the blood. However, there was absolutely no DNA of Jarrell's found on the shirt.
Huh.
So, Jen, you're back from vacation. How was it?
Oh my gosh, we had the best time. But I tell you what, I am so happy that we brought the card game Love Letter by Zeman Games. The first couple of days, we had a lot of rain, so we couldn't go to the beach, nor could we ride any of the roller coasters because they had shut it down. But the game Love Letters totally saved us from boredom.
Love Letters gameplay is simple. You draw a card and play a card on your turn, using the character's abilities to stay in the round and get your letter closer to the princess. This 2 to 6 player card game is a quick game that plays in 20 minutes and fits in your pocket so you can take it anywhere.
Love Letter is appropriate for ages 10 and up, and it's available for $11.99 through Zeman Games. Now, you can find it at Target, your local game store, or you could go directly to Zeman Games web store and buy it there. And we honestly would like to thank Zeman Games for sponsoring our episodes.
Darkest Baker would testify that on Christmas morning, a phone call came in, and it was Jarrell, and he demanded that she come outside. She said she went outside, and he handed her a Walmart bag, and it was tied up tight. And he told her, quote, "Something bad happened. I had to kill somebody," end quote.
Ooh.
The two of them would actually get in the car, and they would go to his mother's trailer. And on the way, Darkest would testify that he showed her a keychain with LeCompte's name on it and stacks of cash tied with Capital One bands. Darkest said that Jarrell confessed that he killed LeCompte and even told her his last words, which were, quote, why me? I thought I was your friend," end quote.
That's sad.
It's so sad, isn't it?
So sad.
Now, Darkest, she's going to turn out not to be exactly what you would call a reliable witness. Because, I don't know if she liked the attention or who knows what goes through people's minds. But as she would tell her story, the story would often change by adding more and more explicit details, very vivid details that weren't first told. For instance, Darkest claimed that Jarrell wrote that note that "you gave me AIDS" with his left hand, and that's why it was sloppy. But that had never been said until she's on the stand, right? She also changed that Christmas story about the phone call and Jarrell, and she said, she was mistaken. It wasn't Jarrell. It was Jeremiah Washington.
Oh.
Same story, different name. Now, why is this? We're going to find out in just a second.
Huh. That's a little sus.
The motive proposed by the state was just simply robbery. It was robbery. Jarrell needed the money. He had a wife that was going to leave him. He had girlfriends. He had babies. He needed the money. There was no crime of passion. The defense's primary strategy was to go after you-know-who, Darkest Baker. Now, the reason she changed her stories was because she would claim she was in fear for her life. She would say that Jarrell's mother and Jarrell's sister threatened her. They were threatening her life if she did not retract her story. She even said that his sister said that she was going to cut her up and feed her to her own daughter. Ugh. Now, both of them, of course, would deny this.
Thanksgiving must be great at their house.
Thank you. Jarrell would take the stand and would claim that he had nothing to do with any of this. His story claimed he was the last to leave because he had stayed behind at the bar to use the bathroom. As for why it took so long to get from the drama club to the gas station, he explained that he was very drunk and at first drove recklessly, hitting signs, knocking things over, and then, he just finally slowed down, and that's what took him so long.
Awful long time.
Another little tidbit that was interesting to reveal on the stand was that he happened to mention that Dante had, injured him as a child and had stuck him in his eye with what?
A screwdriver.
A screwdriver.
Mm-hmm.
The jury took little more than an hour to convict on the charge of first-degree murder. The judge in the case would later say, I really just hope they figured it all out. And it was because, in a way, he believed that the DA had proved that Jarrell had the shirt and the money, but not that he necessarily committed the killing himself. The defense attorney would later say the same thing in an email.
Yeah, there's no physical evidence that links him. I mean, besides him having...
And he could have set it up. Maybe he set it up with Jeremiah Washington or Darkus or Dante, his brother, like you said.
Right, but who actually did it, we have no idea. We just know that Jarrell was there somehow, involved somehow.
After the verdict was read, this kind of made me giggle a little bit, and I know it shouldn't have, but bailiffs rushed past Jarrell to Jarrell's mother and sister and arrested them for intimidation of a witness.
Good.
They went to jail for 2 months, but they pleaded out to a misdemeanor. They actually, they could have probably fought it and got out of it, but they wanted to get out of jail. They'd been in there for, 2 months.
2 months.
2 months. 2 months too long.
Long time.
Jarrell Young was sentenced to life in prison without parole. He is serving his time at Angola Prison. He still maintains his innocence and that the real killer is Jeremiah Washington. The drama club tried to remain open for the community, but it just couldn't do it. In 2014, it shut its doors permanently.
That's sad.
And that's the case of poor Robert LeCompte.
Poor guy.
Friends? Who needs friends when you got friends like that?
Thank you. It's a little messed up. But do you think Jarrell really did it, though? I really don't think he did. I mean...
Well, I think, to me, he just seemed like a hustler. Like, he might not have been gay, but he would surely gay for pay.
Yeah.
Like, he'd take the money, and that's fine. People do that. They grew up really, really poor. Just poor. Mm-hmm. Really poor. I think he needed the money. He needed the money. They needed the money. Or maybe he really was gay. His brother was gay and seemed to be fine with it. His brother would later state that there was no way he was gay, that if he was doing this, it was for money only because he was out and proud. So why he would never saw anything like that from his brother.
Right.
Who's to say? Who's to say what goes through people's minds? I don't know.
Very interesting case.
Not a mind reader, but yeah.
And there's nobody trustworthy there.
And I think Randall, and I felt bad about giving his last name, but it was in the article, so whatever. But Randall Chestnut would say, he was an older gay guy and had been out for a long time. And so he would kind of take these wayward gay kids that were kind of lost. And that's how he got Robert. And that's how he got Jarrell. So he would take them in, offer them, a safe place to live and things like that. But he also fancied himself, he liked young men. Let's put it that way. Mm-hmm. There was an interesting quote, but I'm not going to share it with you.
Yeah.
About, yummy and young boys. That's all I'm going to say about that.
I believe they're called chicken hawks.
Yeah. So there you go.
Mm-hmm. Not that that's bad, as long as they're of age. I have no problem with it.
And they were like 20s, right. I think for the most part,
But as far as all that could be involved in the whole murder, Jarrell and Darkus and all that, they just don't. Who do you believe? They don't seem trustworthy at all, like any of them.
Jarrell did beat up. I mean, the charges were always dropped, but
No,
apparently
history of violence.
He did beat up Darkus. Dante got in a little trouble. Like I said, he got in trouble apparently for molesting 13-year-old relative, but he claimed he never did it. So he did his time and he's out. So yeah.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. I just can't imagine. And the patrons and friends of Robert's would say that Jarrell and Robert would hook up, but it was purely just hooking up. It was for fun. Or maybe Robert would throw him, better shifts and or some money here and there for services rendered. But at this point, when he was killed, he was dating Michael and seemed to be very happy. And his friends said this was different. Like they weren't used to seeing Robert like this with somebody.
So chances are that Robert wouldn't be playing around.
No. Or maybe Jarrell was jealous about that. Who knows? We'll never know because he keeps saying that he didn't do it.
And he may not have, for all we know. But he's been found guilty for it. So
threatened Darkus. I keep wanting to call her Dingus. Darkus. And then the mom and sister. So if you put, I don't know.
I know. It's so convoluted. Interesting.
So there you go, Jen. Horrible. That's all I gotta say about that. You watch anything good on TV lately? Or read anything good?
I am in the middle of reading because I'm home from vacation and I don't have a lot of free time because people talk to me, meaning my family.
Just kidding.
I am reading a book called The Storied Life of A.J. Fickery.
Oh, I've heard of that book. Is it good?
So far it is, very much so. It's about an owner of a bookstore, and he receives a box of things that kind of changes his life. That's how it was put to me. So, but yes, it's very well done and very well written, and I like it. What about you?
Good.
Did you ever watch The Fear Street? Did you watch Fear Street?
No. Haven't. Should I? I don't know.
They're fun. I mean, they're nothing great and heavy or anything like that, but, they're fun.
I've had a hard time focusing on, long time. Does that make sense? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm really good at about a 30-minute mark.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I want to do a huge shout out to our friend Jessica. She contacted us on our Facebook discussion page about Cindy Crawford's daughter is the girl that I thought was on American Horror Stories. She was that. And I knew it was. She looked exactly like Cindy Crawford. She's completely like a mini version, a mini me of her. It's unreal. Trust me.
Look at that. Jen, you should be a casting agent. You're good. You're great. You're so good. I
just recognize people. And also...
It's that one. You know that one. She got... You know.
You know that one chick. Oh, and also, do you want to feel old? Like older than we already feel right now?
No.
Today is the 40th birthday of MTV.
Oh my God. Thanks, Jen.
I know, isn't that horrible?
I still remember that coming on.
Uh-huh.
Yep, with the soundless commercials, remember? Because they had to pay extra money to have sound, so they ran commercials without sound.
Yep.
Yeah.
Make sure that's when they played actual
Martha
movie.
Quinn. Let's name all the DJs. Martha Quinn, Randy. Was it Randy?
I want to say Randy Jackson, but it's not.
I was going to say Randy Jackson, but I don't think that's it.
DJ. Isn't there a DJ?
Martha Quinn. Did I say Martha Quinn?
I think
Nina Blackwood. Alan Quinn. Was it Alan Quinn, the blonde? Mark, something with curly hair. And there's one more. What's his name? Are you Googling it? Don't cheat.
I am, because I have no idea.
We were supposed to be playing a game.
Adam Curry. No, because I don't know any of besides Martha
Adam
Quinn.
Curry. What about Alan? I thought there was an Alan. Maybe it was Adam Curry. Is he blonde?
Mark
no, Alan
Goodman.
Hunter. It's Alan Hunter and Mark Goodman. It's Alan Hunter, isn't it? Isn't there an Alan Hunter with blonde hair?
Let's see. MTV VJs. VJs beginning.
Martha Quinn, Nina Blackwood, Alan Hunter, swear to goodness, Mark Goodman, and then...
JJ Jackson, Martha Quinn, Alan Hunter.
Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. See, I said DJ and Randy Jackson. Dang it.
JJ Jackson. Yep.
And then Alan Hunter. Is that right?
Alan Hunter. Yes.
Dang, I'm good. Okay.
Yeah.
I knew I could do that. I could do that.
I could pick them up in a lineup, but I don't remember their names. That's like par for my life.
So close.
I can recognize people, but I can't remember your name.
That's like, I think it's Cindy Crawford's daughter.
I think it looks exactly like Cindy Crawford. And look at me. I was correct.
You were correct.
But yeah, it's kind of,
yeah, right? In the days where they just played music videos and we're like, wow, did you see the new Michael Jackson song, Beat It? I'm working on the dance moves. I think I almost have it.
And video did kill the radio star because it totally ruined Billy Squier's music career.
Oh, Billy Squier. I love his voice. To this day, I still love his voice.
Oh, I know. But they made him dance around. And back in the 80s, nobody really did what people do now. You know what I mean? So it made him
I hate to say it. Like, it ruined people like me because even though I have a great, phenomenal singing voice, I have a face made for podcasting. So therefore, you have to look like Britney Spears and
but
people.
Billy Squier was around there rolling on the floor and he was dancing and he looked really awkward.
Cute.
And you still, I remember watching it and being kind of embarrassed for him. And it totally wrecked his music career. And he even says that.
I still like him though.
Well, yeah.
I do.
The music's
I like
good,
his voice. Oh boy.
Yeah. So sad.
Yeah. R.I.P.
Memories.
R.I.P. Jen and Cam's youth. Lord.
I know.
That's all I really got for you.
That's all I have either. I'm
working on, like I said, my attention span's been really bad. So I've started 1 million cases, researching them. I get about a page in and then I end up going down a rabbit hole and finding, and then I'm like, oh, no, I'm going to start this one.
Yeah.
So
your ADHD gets to you.
Yeah. The one I did today was not the one was supposed to go today. I was doing another one. And then, yeah.
Things happen. I get you.
Sure does, Jen.
Yep. Next week, I'll be telling you a case that our friend Ethan wrote for us. Another one. This is like, he's a third timer now. So
he needs a t-shirt.
He's got a t-shirt.
But it says
he's got an OTCP t-shirt.
No, but it should say something like,
he's a third timer.
I have 3-timed OTCP.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? That sounds weird.
Yes. I get you.
All right, Jen. That's all I got. So guess what? Remember, until next time, lock your doors.
And keep passing by those open windows.
Bye-bye.
Love ya.
Today's episode was researched and written by me, Cam. For more information about this episode, as well as all the sources I used, please check out our show notes or the podcast website at ourtruecrimepodcast.com. Our True Crime Podcast is developed and created by hosts Jen and Cam. Original music and audio mix of all our True Crime Podcast episodes is courtesy of Nico Vertesi from We Talk of Dreams. Listener discretion is provided by Edward October from October Pod VHS. Our True Crime Podcast is executive produced by Nico Vertesi and Dick Bain. Make sure to like and subscribe to Our True Crime Podcast wherever you listen to your podcast. We can be reached on Instagram and Facebook at Our True Crime Podcast or on Twitter at Our True Crime Pod. You can email us at ourtruecrimepodcast@gmail.com. If you really like the show, make sure to check out our Patreon at Our True Crime Podcast. Our True Crime Podcast is an OTC production. Humor me, girl.
I keep thinking humid. Huma.
Well, I keep humidor. That's what I'm thinking of.
It's humid in Louisiana.
Yes, humid.
Yeah, I was going to say this doesn't even ring a bell with me at all.
I can ring your bell.
Ring my bell.
Sorry. But paradise, Jen, as we know, it's
paradise.
Paradise.
They were a pair of nice people.
They were a pair of nice people. Mm-hmm. Here we go. She would have Jarrell. So now I'm going to say Dorel.
You did say pair of nice.
I did. I know I did.
Okay.
I was trying to think about how to come back around, do it, and fix it. Oh, boy.
In my head, this is what I'm thinking. If I was going to make this a movie, I would say that the person, I'd have two options. Either Darkus killed Robert, or as a big twist, we would have Dante killed Robert because Dante and Robert were together. That's what I think.
Interesting.
Just as a movie thing.
I got you. I didn't put this in here, but you're right. Dante does end up going to prison, but he claims he didn't do it.
Oh, yeah?
Not this. Different story.
Okay.
But he did some prison time. Hold on. My water's leaking. That's nice. Hope it went all over. Hold on, Jen. Okay. I have to sit
I love
straight
the
up.
little sweet nothings that he whispers to Darkus over the phone.
He's the prince. It's just my knight.
He is.
Not shiny metal, I'll tell you that.
Rusted armor.
She states that she went outside and she was handed a Walmart bag and it was tied up. And he told her...
Walmart A whole
Walmart bag?
A Walmart bag?
Did I say it wrong?
I think you said Walmart.
I probably did.
I'm going down to Walmart after this to get food for my kids' band camp.
It's true.